So as I'm working on the dress, I noticed that the bottom of the dress was filthy. It was dirty. Okay, not filthy, but it was super dirty. This this is wild. So I was like, okay, when she comes in for her next fitting, I'm gonna ask what exactly was going on with the dress for it to get this dirty. Because I mean, grass, mud, twigs, little sticks. So a client reached out wondering if I could do alterations on this wedding dress that she had got. I asked her what exactly she needed. She said that she had actually gotten the dress altered in a different state, and she just kind of wanted me to look at it and see if she needed any extra alterations. The alterations were done a couple of months back. And so I was like, oh, were the alterations not complete? Like, why would you think that you needed more alterations? So she said they were done. She fit the dress very well. She just wanted to make sure because she tried on the dress. Some parts felt a little loose. So she wanted me to just take a look and see if there was anything else that I could do. I said, okay, come in. Let's see what I can do. So she came in for the appointment. I didn't take any pictures, and this was the reason why. As soon as she changed into the dress looked fine to me. It looked like a perfect fit. Whoever did the alterations did a good job. She had a bustle in. It fit. It to me, it seemed a little bit snug. But I asked this bride, like, what were her concerns? Like, where did she think that the dress was big? And she pretty much said that at the top, it was gaping just a little bit. So I looked, tried to put my hand there, and I was like, the dress is already snug. And to me, it fits really, really well. If I went in and tried to tighten that part, I feel like you wouldn't have much breathing room. So from just looking at it, it looked fine. You could get away with it. So she was like, well, okay, I guess I was making a fuss over nothing. I'm gonna trust your word for it. I guess it doesn't need alterations. And I was like, yeah, and I'm kind of like saving you a little money because if I go ahead and do those alterations, I definitely have to charge you for that. And it's honestly going to be minimal alteration. So I feel like you could get away with the dress being as is. So she was fine with that. She was like, okay, thank me. And she left. A couple of months, she reached out again and she was like, could you do alterations to my dress? I was like, didn't we have this discussion? I was like, didn't the wedding pass already? What do you need alterations for? So she explained that she actually had the wedding in a different state and she was going to have another one or some kind of reception here in the Memphis area. I was like, okay, that makes sense. She wanted to use the same dress. So I was like, okay, did much change with the dress? Like what's going on? So she said that yes, the dress worked out great. Just the bustle area where it was being bustled, there were several rips in the dress. And I was like, oh, okay. So that usually happens if the bustle points or the loops or however the bustle was done weren't really reinforced, or whoever the seamstress was didn't do it properly. Now, I hate speaking on other people's work, but that shouldn't happen. That shouldn't have happened. Yeah. So I was like, do you have pictures of what's going on? Because I couldn't understand. I did take a look at the bustle, but I couldn't understand what she meant by there was rips. So she sent me some pictures. So these are the pictures that she sent over. You can see her hand actually going through the dress. Another picture, her fingers going through the hole, and you can see the rip there. You can see the loop. That is not supposed to be happening. That is telling me that that loop wasn't anchored. I don't know if anchored is the right word, but it didn't have enough support. It was probably put on fabric that is flimsy, like the tulle or the netting there, and it should not. Again, I don't like speaking on other seamstresses' work, but it shouldn't have been done like that. Like there should have been a solid anchor point so that when you put the loop on a button, on a hook, it stays and the tension or the weight of the fabric isn't pulling down and causing a rip like that. Another picture, you can see right through the tulle fabric. Yeah, a hole there. So this is what she wanted me to fix. I was like, I don't know. Usually tulle, I mean, once a hole is made in it, it's, I don't know, for me it's a little hard to fix. But I was like, let me look at it in person and then figure out how I can redo the bustle, how I can like fix up the holes, and then we can go from there. So she brought the dress in. I took a look and I was like, okay, listen, first I want to say that bustles, I just recently got into doing bustles. I just feel like they're so complicated and things like this. You have to kind of like know the dress and then just know how to kind of, I don't know, pin, know where to place different hooks and all of that. And just different dresses, you get more complex bustles, simpler bustles. So I'm just getting into this, but I know for sure that this wasn't the right way to do a bustle, because a bustle, it shouldn't be destroying the dress. That's pretty much what it was doing. Like it shouldn't have done that. So bustle, I'm sure someone's going to say, what is a bustle? I think I've seen comments like that asking what exactly is a bustle. So my explanation is really just shortening a dress or a wedding dress, temporarily shortening the train of a dress. So from that to that, using either hooks, buttons, loops. I've seen, what are these, lobster claws or lobster clamps? I don't know what they're, anyways, but using tools or hardware to kind of pin or lift the train in place so that it becomes short. And this is usually done when a bride buys a dress that has a super long train and is great for walking down the aisle, but then come the reception, they need to dance and do all the things and they want their hands free. And so you put it in a bustle. So that is a bustle. And again, I hate to speak on other seamstresses' work, but yeah, this wasn't it. So I was like, okay, I have a few ideas. I could go ahead and do those alterations, just create a different bustle so that that works for your reception that is going to be happening here in the Memphis area. So I went to work. So as I'm working on the dress, I noticed that the bottom of the dress was filthy. It was dirty. Okay, not filthy, but it was super dirty. Now, as she had said, she had used the dress for, I guess, her wedding. And so that's usually what happens like after the event. But I was like, it seemed like there was mud, there were like twigs and grass, and I was like, okay. And she did ask me if I could clean up the dress a little bit, but I don't like to start work on a dress if I know that it's dirty. So I usually, before I start work, if it needs to be cleaned, I will go ahead and clean it. So I was going to do that, but she did ask if I could clean up the dress and then redo the bustle. So that was part of what I was going to do, but it was so dirty. I was like, what is going on? And so I forgot about it because I was working on it. It cleaned it up and I was like, okay, this is wild. So I was like, okay, when she comes in for her next fitting, I'm going to ask what exactly was going on with the dress for it to get this dirty, because I mean, grass, mud, twigs, little sticks. So yes, keep that in mind going into the alterations. So this is the dress and there is the bustle that is already up. You can see the loops and the buttons, but there are the holes. I was trying to understand how exactly this previous seamstress had done the bustle, but I think I don't even know. I don't know. But anyways, I'm taking out the bustle, removing the loops. This was such a disaster. This is what not to do. I believe she could have done a different type of bustle, but oh well, this is what she ended up choosing. Look at those holes and look at where the loops are. So I think she probably created a hole, and so the tension around where she created those loops and holes just gave in and they started to rip. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut those loops off because I'm not going to use them. Not going to serve a purpose to the bustle that I will be doing. So just removing those, cutting those out, just being careful so that I don't create more of a mess on the dress. And my solution, what I was thinking, is just to kind of create a faux seam. So because I can't really do anything with the hole, what I'm going to do is just sew down a seam, try and even it out from the top of the lace to the bottom of the lace. And there I have it pinned out. So I will probably do like a French seam. So sew down where the pins are, like I have done, and then cut off that excess on the hole, and then kind of do a French seam. Now, I do this because the tulle, tulle kind of bunches up, and so you won't be able to see the seam. And here I'm showing, you won't be able to see the seam until you like really, really look. So you can see that is the seam, and it just looks like one of the pleats or one of the gathers of the tulle. There's the other seam on the other side. So that worked. Unless you're like a dress inspector, you're not going to notice that. So that's done. That's fixed. Next thing I'm going to do is actually sew a loop on a different point in the dress. Now, because the tulle is light, the weight of the dress is light, I'm just going to use the tulle part. I think the other seamstress kind of used the underskirt as well, and so it was heavy. It was a lot of weight, and then she opened up, made a hole, and so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use the tulle part, which actually I think has 2 layers. So that it's just light enough but sturdy enough for me to put in that loop and lift the dress. So that's what I'm doing, just putting in the loop for the bustle. So once the loop is done, I just need to add a button. I'm removing the buttons that were already placed there. That's one of them, and I'll just redo the button where I need it. So once that's done, that's pretty much the bustle. It's a 1-point American bustle. There's my loop. You bring the loop to the button up there, twist it, hook it onto the button and untwist it, and that should keep the train a little high. Nothing complex, super easy, and away from the floor. The bride came in for a fitting. So unfortunately, I didn't take any pictures of her in the dress, but she picked up the dress. This is just an example of the bustle, kind of bustle that I did. This is on a different dress, but it was a 1-point American bustle. So you have the loop, and then you have the button at the top, and you just lift the loop, twist it, hook it onto the button, untwist it, and then just flare and fluff out the rest of the bustle. So that worked for her. Super simple, nothing complex. But anyways, back to her story and why the dress was so dirty. So this is her in the dress, absolutely beautiful. So that explains all the twigs and the mud and everything that was going on at the bottom of the dress. There's another picture of her in the dress, and yes, it makes sense that the hemline would be dirty and muddy because it's pretty much dragging on the ground and picking up everything that it can pick up. So that explains that. But I was like, okay, so that was more of the hemline, but I noticed some grass like on the dress as well, like kind of like higher up. And I was like, okay, what was going on? And she was like, you know what? Funny story. When they were taking pictures, the husband ended up like trying to do kind of like a dip and a kiss. And so when that was happening, this is what happened. Started off beautiful, picturesque. I love how that turned out. And then down they go. This was the most hilarious thing I had seen. And I was like, kudos to the photographer for capturing such a moment. I had not laughed this hard in a while. And so I was like, okay, was everyone okay? Did anyone get hurt? Nobody got hurt. And like I said, it was a great, a great memory for their wedding. And just kudos to the photographer for being able to capture such a moment. So that explained why the dress had so much grass in it. So that was those alterations. I don't have a before or after picture, but let me know if anything crazy like this happened to you on your wedding day, if you are married, or have you experienced anything crazy like this? Let me know in the comments. I will see you in the next video.